Hey guys, Buckcat7 here. Okay, it is Thursday, February 28, 2019, and I want to thank you for visiting the Stonewall Research channel here on YouTube. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and if you would kindly hit the like button, guys, that would be great as well. Okay, so today for you I have a video called Mystery DNA, Unknown Segments of Ancient Human A in the Genome. And it's basically this article I had spotted a little while back. Let's see if I can get at it here. No, that's not it. Here we go. And apparently, you know, this information is new. It's late 2018 that the first articles came out about it. With this unknown human ancestor that's traced in the genome. And I think this article right here more or less sums it up pretty well. And the reason why I'm doing this too is it relates to my last video somewhat, Lovelock Cave, because, you know, the phenotype and morphology of these people were different, as reported by the museum that holds the artifacts, that they were, you know, robust, you know, which means a bit larger. And, you know, the fact that, you know, these other phenotype skeletons were found at Galena and also at Snaketown, Arizona, which, if you haven't seen my video, Elongated Skulls USA, you should watch that, because right in here I tell you in 1971 C.W. Saran gives us that, you know, naturally occurring elongated skulls were found in Snaketown, Arizona some 100+ years ago. I go over it in this video. I mean, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Let's see if we can hear it.
2 feet below the lowest remains of the cliff dwellers, we have found remains of quite a different tribe. This difference is determined by the shape of the head, which is natural, okay? It's natural. Long-headed or dolichocephalous. The cliff dwellers, as we find them, have a perpendicular flattening at the back of the head, making it artificially brachycephalous. So, this guy Weatherhill, back in the late 1800s, identified these skull deformations, one as being natural, and then the other, you know, that he knew about, I guess, was artificial.
Okay, so if you didn't know, elongated skulls were found at Snaketown, Arizona by this amateur archaeologist Weatherhill in the late 1800s, and then Edwin S. Gladwin, who was an archaeologist there in Arizona, a guy from New York who's amateur, found these artificially deformed cranium and also these naturally occurring ones at Snaketown, Arizona. So, you know, the thing is I had to do a video about how Brian Foster wasn't really the first one to determine the, you know, the possibility of this. It was actually this guy Edwin S. Gladwin, and I go over that in my video here, Elongated Skulls USA, and then we talk about them in the Hohokam, okay, who were supposedly these people, right? And in a peaceful northern invasion of Apache came in, and they lived among the Apache or whatever it was. Then we talked about Galena, and how the Galena people had a different phenotype, a different morphology, okay? And which is this one right here, if you haven't seen it, okay? And I draw a connection with that with Lovelock Cave, but you My theory is that the people at Lovelock Cave had the same sort of morphology as the Galena people, and they were all in this area, including Hovenweek in Utah and Colorado. And that the story, the Paiute story about the people who are in Lovelock Cave were simply the last vestiges of these people from Galena and Hovenweek that they had cornered in this cave, and that all the stuff about them being giants and cannibals and all this kind of stuff were all sort of fairy tales, in order to, you have, sociology 101, folks. You have to have an enemy figure for social cohesion. Okay, that's what, Orwell's 1984 is all about. And Emmanuel Bernstein, or whatever his name was there, he was the enemy figure. You need an enemy figure for social cohesion. Okay, so they told all these tales about these people because they wanted to get rid of them, and it's not a nice story, about native peoples and what they might have done to these people and all that kind of stuff. So I guess they don't want to talk about it, So that's my theory about the Lovelock Cave people, is that they were simply the same people of the same strange phenotype as those at Galena and also at Snaketown, Arizona. You have these different kind of phenotypes and morphologies from the past that died off in the past. I go over in my other videos about the megafauna and all that stuff, about all the animals that went extinct in the Pleistocene, and at the end of the Pleistocene, the megafauna, and also during the Holocene, which there was a big, huge extinction, which they attribute to the Ice Age. But if you don't believe in the Ice Age, it had to be something else. Okay, and here's lists of all the animals in the Holocene, the current era that we're living in. Okay, there were large animals that went extinct at the beginning of this period, never to be seen again. List and list and list of them. Okay, and you have to assume that we found every single skeleton on this planet that ever in the past, from every type of humanoid and everything. We dug up every hole on the planet, and we know everything, right? Which is, we don't know. That's the whole thing. Okay, you have the elongated skulls around the Black Sea area here. Okay, 2,000-year-old skeleton from the Black Sea area, Ukraine, and all that kind of stuff that they dug up over there, the Crimean Peninsula. They dug up this weird skeleton, and a bunch of them, okay? So the possibility of there being, some other type of humanoid in the past is certainly possible, and articles like this just seem to reinforce their idea. There's different articles about it. Traces of mystery, ancient humans found lurking in our genomes. Okay, and it's certainly, up until recently, they didn't think there was Neanderthal in our genome still, but now they know it for sure. Okay, so let me read this short article for you here, and we'll look at the pictures here, and just to show you about, you gotta think about these possibilities. Because these elongated skull types and these people with this strange morphology and phenotype, you have to consider these things, and that these people might have lived on up until not all that long ago, okay? And we as Homo sapiens more or less wiped them all out. I mean, that's what I believe, other researchers believe, that, we don't like strange looking people that are different than us. We don't like little people, and we don't like big people, and whoever we don't like, or whatever we don't like, we get rid of, okay? The wolves become a pain in the ass, we kill them all. The foxes become a pain in the ass, we kill them all. The tigers become a pain in the ass, we kill them all. We kill everything that, we don't like, is bothering us, or whatever the heck it is, okay? For any reason. So, would it be surprising that these people existed, the different kind of humanoids existed up until the fairly recent past, and we just systematically wiped them out. And people like us, even native peoples from this land, they're just people like any people, like all people around the world have the same kind of feelings and emotions and all this kind of stuff. So let me read this article. It's a short article. AI unearths evidence for previously unknown human ancestor. Okay, this is by Sci-Fi Wire. I like this article because it's kind of short, concise. You think you know what's in your DNA until you realize there are things lurking much further back than Great Aunt Wanda's crooked smile. Evidence for a previously unknown human ancestor has been discovered by scientists using deep learning AI. After years of this mysterious hominid being nothing more than a theory, now a new study reveals the ancestor is believed to have lived some 80,000 years ago. Or, it's from 80,000 years ago, but they lived on beyond 80,000. That's where the genomes crossed or whatever, or intermingled. And it could be the missing link in the human genome. So there's a missing link in the human genome, if you didn't know. Okay, so all the talk about DNA from around the world, whoever it is, whatever it is, okay, you want to think we know a lot about DNA. We only know like the kindergarten stuff about DNA. We're working on all the rest. We haven't quite made it to, middle school yet. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Every time you hear, a DNA analysis was done and this and that and the other thing or whatever, how much they don't know. Alright? You always have to keep that in mind. If you're not keeping it in mind, you're just a bad scientist, or, you're just laymen who want to believe whatever you want to believe because it's convenient and easy and neat and, very antiseptic and easy. Okay, Homo sapiens interbred with Neanderthals who emerged from Africa over 200,000 years ago, they say, and Denisovans, or Denisovans, whose DNA was only found to be intertwined with ours after a 2008 discovery. Okay, so this is all new stuff, folks. You still probably have vast segments of, people in the science and academia and, teachers and everything that are way behind the curve when it comes to all this stuff. They're not keeping themselves up with the news and everything else like that, so, they're still going on old ideas. That still wasn't enough to explain the gaps in our genome that, until recently, were only filled by a hypothetical ancestor, okay? Quote, in addition to the reported Neanderthal and Denisovan introgressions, our results report a third introgression in all Asian and Oceanian populations from an archaic population, unquote, said population geneticist Oscar Lau, evolutionary biologist Mayuk Mandal, and their team of researchers in the study, which was recently published in Nature Communications. Quote, this population is either related to the Neanderthal Denisova clade or diverged early from the Denisova lineage. Okay, so they don't know, and there's a lot they don't know, and just in that statement alone. So here, take a look at some skulls here. Okay, that's the Neanderthal skull. This big head right here with these Mongo-sized teeth and eyes and nose, okay, and a weird skull. Alright, and here's us. Alright? And this third one could be even bigger than this, or perhaps it's the elongated skulls. But they're just, they're staying away from the elongated skulls like, like it's the plague for some reason. They don't want to change old ideas, but, really, in the future, people will be more open to these ideas. And just all these old bogeys got to die off and, holding on to their old ideas like Alice Herdlicka, that ass. He more or less, suppressed information that he didn't like. you know, and that tradition carried on, and apparently it's carrying on. And again, you know, it's bad business to look stupid or ignorant, you know, so they don't, you know, if they're ignorant of something, they're going to try to sort of talk their way around it. It was the discovery of an ancient child's bone fragment that proved Neanderthals and Denisovans were interbreeding not just with Homo sapiens, but with each other. It was that piece of bone that made what was just a hypothetical third species a possible reality. Just one thing. Geneticists now had to map not only Neanderthal and Denisovan interbreeding, but the interbreeding of Homo sapiens with the Neanderthal-Denisovan hybrid. So even in this article, it's admitting of a hybrid in the past, which I often say about the peoples who were living here, okay, the native peoples in the Northeast were some sort of hybrid. And the people in the Plains Indians at the time of 1800, as I went over in my video, Homo giganticus, okay, when we went over the, you know, height, current, you know, science on height, and the history of height, and how all the Plains Indians, who happen to be relatives of the Iroquois and northeastern tribes, many of them, okay, and many of the people from the Northeast at the time, even the Europeans there, were extremely tall for some reason, okay? I often talk about hybrid people being there, and that the stone walls of New York and New England are a product of those people, okay? And there's a lot more going on in the world than you can possibly think, for a lot of different reasons, okay? They're revising their notions of history right now, of the Americas and what happened here, okay? So let's take a look at the rest of this article. Right. This is where artificial intelligence came to unlock what scientists from the Barcelona Center for Genomic Regulation believe is the most complex mystery in human evolution we've ever come across. This was not an analysis that could be done with the standard statistical tools, which is why Lau and Mondal's team had to turn to something really advanced, more like futuristic, enter deep learning. Whenever we, quote, whenever we run a simulation, we are traveling along a possible path in the history of humankind, unquote, Lau explained in a statement. Quote, of all simulations, deep learning allows us to observe what makes the ancestral puzzle fit together, unquote, okay? So this is, you know, very theoretical science and all kind of stuff, but they're missing, that they have these gaps in the genome, in the DNA, and they don't have any way of addressing it. So this is helping these mainstream people try to come up with some sort of solution. And here these guys are reporting it here, okay? Deep learning AI machines analyze mind-blowing amounts of information for complex patterns using a network that has its architectural roots in the human brain. The researchers use this computer brain to their advantage by working backward and feeding it ancient demographic models, including the Neanderthal-Denisovan hybrid, until it came up with a genome that mirrored the modern human genome. This could be the proof we need that the much hypothesized about link is actually that hybrid, okay? And you know, they're talking about one hybrid. Who knows how many hybrids, you know, there really were. Does this mean we Homo sapiens now know everything about our distant past? Probably not. But it might make you rethink where all your stardust comes from, okay? So that's the end of that little article there. Some of these other articles are very similar, you know, when talking about it, some leave some stuff out, some stuff in. So this is very late reporting. They found some fragments in Siberia, in a cave in Siberia, some teeth and a finger, and they did a genetic analysis of it, and they were shocked to see that, you know, there was this hybrid thing going on, and that, you know, it just opens up more possibilities, okay, of what's going on in the real true history, our real true history of what kind of humanoids there might have existed in the past that we don't know anything about. Okay, so it's something to consider. Okay, so this is an article about those skulls. You know, the skeletons found, the strange skeletons found in Crimea. Okay, and they just so happen to be elongated skulls, and they don't have that suture line that most Homo sapien skulls have, that Brian Foster always reports on with the Paracas mummies there. They don't have that third suture line. They only have this sort of one suture line. Okay? And the DNA and the blood types don't match exactly to the local native populations there in Peru. Okay? So, you know, they're resisting this thing or whatever, and, you know, it's just something to pay attention to. Alright? And, you know, I'm just starting to get into a new book by this author, Charles C. Mann, 1491, and already into the book, you know, he's talking about anthropogenic forests, okay, and how, you know, on the first inseam of the cover of the book, it says this: pre-Columbian Indians of Mexico developed corn by a breeding process so sophisticated that the journal Science has recently described it as, quote, man's first and perhaps greatest feat of genetic engineering, unquote. Okay? Native Americans transformed their land so completely that Europeans arrived in the hemisphere already massively, quote-unquote, landscaped by human beings. Okay? And I was talking to this fella from this website not all that long ago, because he had posted something about it. Okay? New Perspectives on the Amazon. The session featured William Bailey of Tulane University. Bailey's talk was about, quote-unquote, anthropogenic forest. Forest created by Indians centuries or millennia in the past. Okay? So you have these vast food forests created in the Americas here, and resources, which I claim in my research on stone walls in New York and New England, that this was a distribution point by some old civilization, maybe of a different kind of humanoid or a hybrid or whatever. Okay, it seems to lend itself to that. Okay, and people with a little bit more sophisticated knowledge. In my video, The Ho'okum, I go over that. Okay? They developed some things, you know, way before, you know, Europeans even did, like etching, for example. 450 years before European armorers developed etching, they were doing it there, and they were building mounds. And in my video, Elongated Skulls USA, I also talk about them finding at the bottom of a mound a block of stone with a piece of iron in it, which they claim was like a landmarker from the 1800s or whatever, but it was buried under a huge mound. It was like 100 feet wide or whatever it was. It's just ridiculous, their stories or whatever, to try to put this guy Edwin S. Gladwin's work to shame. But again, there, humanoids at Snaketown, humanoids at Galena, humanoids at Lovelock. It's just everywhere. I think even Robert DeSepper at Landian Gardens mentions this unknown genome, you know, unknown DNA and whatnot. Okay? And I think in this article here, it's like people from Cameroon have it in them. You know, there's just this weird stuff, and just don't think that they know DNA as well as they know it. So again, you know, just referring back to my last video about Lovelock Cave, I just think that's the same story as Galena and Hovenweep. There's people there with a different phenotype. They were slightly larger. They weren't the quote-unquote jolly green giants that they make them out to be. The things that they were cannibals were all just dirt put on the people so they could exterminate them, the Paiutes and anybody else in the region, or the Paiutes' ancestors or whatever, got rid of these people. They didn't like them. They were weird. They looked weird, and they didn't do the same things, and they built these stone houses and all this kind of stuff, and they got rid of them. Okay, and the Lovelock Cave story is just the same story as Galena that we just don't know about. But the point is that these people had a different phenotype and a different morphology, and that's the story that we don't know of the past. Okay, and maybe we got rid of those people. Maybe getting rid of Tartaria. Maybe the Tartarians were related to these people or whatever. Or everything that Tartaria was left over from this ancient civilization that existed, before the Ice Age, 50,000 years ago, 100,000 years. We don't know. They don't know a lot of stuff, and you have to keep it in mind, including everything with DNA. So, anyway, guys, I just wanted to throw that out. If you haven't seen my videos on Galena or the Elongated Skulls USA, please do look at those videos, okay? Alright, and Lovelock Cave, the one I just did, and think about it. Think about these different types of humanoids that could have been in the past. And it's not around anymore. We haven't dug up every inch of earth on the planet. It seems that a whole bunch of stuff was covered up by stuff anyway. May never get to it. But whatever they do uncover, they immediately have to try to rationalize it because it doesn't fit in well with the story. And there's a lot of open ends, and they don't want to look stupid. It's bad for business. Alright? Alright, guys. Anyway, hope you liked the video. Please hit the like button, guys. Love Cat 7 starting off. I'll see you with a new video soon. Peace.